Coming up next, from San Fran Freak Show, the Savage Nation. From Talk 910 KNEW.
I'm Kim Commando. You can keep up with all things digital Monday through Friday in the noon hour with My Digital Minute on Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
Pigs of Western civilization, eat more grease. Eat more marbled sirloin, more pork and gravy. Lard up the dressing. Fry chicken in boiling oil. Carry it dribbling to gray climes, snowed with salt. Little lambs covered with mint roasted rats, surrounded by roast potatoes wet with butter sauce. Buttered veal medallions in creamy saliva. Buttered beef by glistening mountains of French fries.
Turn the communist rat off, will you? Turn the communist Ginsburg rat off. He's dead, he's gone, he's in hell, where he belongs with all of his readers. Turn the bum off. Let's have some music, please. Wow, my God, what vermin. What vermin. But the vermin have taken over the country. Let me give you an example. The Obama administration is overtly spying on the American people through an email campaign. Not one word from the vermin in the media. Where are all the anti-war protesters now that the military buildup in Afghanistan is very clearly almost as big as that in Iraq? Why are we in Afghanistan? Where have all the anti-war protesters gone? Again, the vermin in the media have no answer because they are exactly what I've been calling them for years. Now, I realize that that is a loaded word, and we looked up what the word vermin means. The reason I refer to so many of the so-called writers for the newspapers vermin is because it comes from the Latin word vermis, which means worm. Worm, and is defined as a small, common, harmful, or objectionable animal. That's who the people in the midstream media are. And I don't see how you can disagree with me. You know that they are worms. You know that they're difficult to control. For example, one such harmful member of the midstream media did an article on me in which she completely obliterated the facts and continued the smear campaign. She referred to one of the terrorists who had been placed on the UK ban list as a Hamas lawmaker. You see, this good reporter referred to me as a shock jock while calling him a Hamas lawmaker. The fact of the matter is the Hamas lawmaker on the UK ban list is a murderer. He executed 2 young Jewish parents who were hiding from him, and then he found their daughter hiding in the attic, a crawl space, and this Hamas lawmaker then smashed in the head of the 4-year-old Jewish daughter with a rifle butt. He was imprisoned in Israel for many years for these crimes. He was released, and he is now a Hamas lawmaker, and they call him a Hamas lawmaker, and they call me a shock jock. They continue to repeat lies fabricated by the evil Soros-funded Media Matters. And this is a woman who has written fair articles in the past, who then turns around and stabs Michael Savage in the back. So how do you expect me to respond? I suspect that if you read Shakespeare, you will find out how I'm going to respond. Shame on you is what I wrote to her. That is why your newspaper is dead and dying. The New Yorker profile, you give one sentence. I am the only person in the history of this provincial backwater to have ever been profiled in New Yorker, and you dismiss it as nothing important? My friends, there's a reason I call them the vermin of the media. Now, we're going to talk about a number of topics. 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. We have a fascist dictatorship brewing in America. You say that's crazy? I say you're crazy. They are spying on Americans with emails. That is clear. They are trying to curtail conservatives in the broadcast media because we have succeeded based upon our opinions, and our talents. And just as they're trying to shut down the town halls, as Michael Savage is sitting here before this microphone and you're receiving it on your radio, the vermin in the FCC put in by the communist Obama are trying to close down conservatives in the media under the guise of diversity. The new chief of diversity in the FCC, a man named Mark Lloyd, the so-called chief diversity officer, which is a code word for the new KGB, has called on private radio broadcasters to pay a sum equal to their total operating costs in order to fund the vermin in public broadcasting. They want PBS to be funded by private broadcasters. This piece of garbage, Mark Lloyd, who is a failure from the top to the bottom, wants the vermin in public broadcasting off the radio, and that so-called diversity of ownership would increase diversity of broadcasting voices. No, my friend, the reason liberals were driven off the radio is because nobody wanted to listen to their drivel. They can read their garbage in the newspapers. They can listen to their garbage on the networks. The only corner of the media left where there is freedom of speech can be found only on the conservative broadcasts in the United States of America. And this communist vermin, Mark Lloyd, wants this ended. He's going to put you out of business. He's going to put me out of business, he thinks. He wants new programming, so-called diverse programming, that will cover daily news. That means anything fed to the stooge in front of the microphone by him. Public issues programming. That means anything given to the stooge in front of the microphone by the Axelrod machine. Quote, in addition, educational programs for children and adults. And diverse, independent, personal, and cultural expression will be encouraged, wrote this neo-Nazi. Now, this is what's going on in the United States of America. We have been taken over by a group of hardcore liberal fascists. They are spying on Americans. They're closing down town hall meetings. They're smearing anybody who stands up to them. They're putting their minions in Nazi uniforms in order to smear them, a Saul Alinsky trick learned from the Bolsheviks. A very few people in the media are standing up to them. One of them is Major Garrett. God bless him. My suspicion is he will soon be barred from the White House press office because he's not sufficiently supine. He will probably have to repudiate his views in order to be readmitted into the distinguished company of the other sycophants in that room. Now, I got to tell you something. If my show ended tomorrow, I will have had a great life in broadcasting. You say, well, all right, things happen. Communists take over countries and they destroy them. Sometimes those communists are found out and thrown out. Sometimes they're not found out and thrown out. Things get progressively worse. Look at Cuba, a prison state loved only by the Hollywood elite. Look at North Korea, where 1 million people were starved to death in slave labor camps, loved only by Madeleine Albright and Hillary Clinton. Look at the other communist dictatorships on the planet and tell me, is that where you want to live? Because that's where you're going to live. You're going to live there as sure as I'm standing here because they're taking away every brick of freedom in this country, one brick at a time. And they're being found out, and they're being called out on it, not by everyone by any means, but by a few brave souls in the midstream media who get near them, by the few brave old people who dare to speak out at town hall meetings, which they're now closing down. Ladies and gentlemen, this country's balance hangs like a loose tooth. I'll be right back. Imagine discovering an opportunity that could completely rebuild your retirement fund by 40% over the next 2 years. Does it sound too good to be true? It's not if you take action today. Call my good friends, and I mean good friends, at Swiss America. Gold IRAs have averaged 20% per year growth since 2001. It's just common sense to roll over dead paper assets into gold, the best performing asset of the century. Then you can relax no matter what happens on Wall Street. Call now for a complete Gold 101 DVD and my free CD.
Call toll-free 888-867-8965. That's 888-867-8965.
For nearly a decade, I've told you to trust gold coins and Swiss America. Today, it's more urgent than ever. Get my CD, DVD, and new special report.
Call toll-free 888-867-8965. That's 888-867-8965.
Learn before you earn. Don't just imagine rebuilding your wealth. Do it now.
Call 888-867-8965 today.
No one else can say it that clear and that precise. And he has passion, of course.
The Savage Nation, weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk 910, KNEW.
Keep it going, because the nervous system operates that way. 100,000 million signals a second, right? I'm sorry, 1,000 million signals a second coming in your nervous system. It's that same beat. You got to keep it flowing.
That's the voice of the psychopath, Timothy Leary, who was crossed into hell a long time ago, who ruined the minds of countless hundreds of thousands